Begin by opening your trunk and disconnecting the battery, but leave the trunk open. At the front of the car, remove the plastic cowl cover. Then remove the windshield washer fluid reservoir. If your reservoir is full, this will cause fluid to leak onto the ground, so have some towels ready. Removing the hood from the vehicle can make this job slightly easier, but is not required. Next, you'll need to remove the ECU from the car. Start by unbolting the top of the cover. Remove the two T30s at the back of the ECU tray, but wait until after the ECU is removed to try these. There are two plastic clips securing the ECU that need to be pressed outward on either side to release it. Carefully pull it back and out of the tray and set it aside. Remove the ground sitting in front of the ECU tray. Unbolt the strut brace from both sides of the car and the false firewall. Next, disconnect any plugs going into the cabin and carefully remove the fuse panel from the ECU tray. Set both the ECU and fuse panel aside. In order to move the ECU tray out of the way, you will need to remove the windshield wiper assembly. You may need to use a puller tool to break the wiper arms free. Do not pry on them against the glass. Then, remove the 3 bolts securing the motor assembly to the vehicle. Disconnect the plug from the motor and take it off of the car. Now, remove the remaining bolts in the bottom of the ECU tray and you can scoot it over to the side to reveal the clutch delay valve and start sensor. Be careful not to dislodge this sensor during the install process or you won't be able to start the car. Moving underneath the car, you'll now want to remove the clutch line from the slave cylinder by releasing the metal retaining clip and pulling the line out. Make sure none of the stock plastic fitting is left behind inside the stock slave cylinder. This could lead to a leaking seal, clogged clutch line, or damaged slave cylinder. With the clutch line released, this will cause fluid to leak out. Have some towels ready. If you want to stop the leaking, press the clutch pedal to the floor after removing the line. Up at the clutch master cylinder, Release the retaining clip to pull the line out. From here, the easiest way to get the stock line out of the car is to cut it into two pieces. This way, you will not need to spend additional time removing any additional parts from the car to feed it out. Pull the cut stock line and delay valve out of the car. Feed the new stainless line through the same route that the stock line took. Place one end into the clutch master cylinder and secure it with the metal retaining clip. Give it a tug to make sure it's seated correctly. Double check that the start sensor hasn't moved. And underneath the car, place it into the slave cylinder. Secure it with the metal retaining clip and give it a tug to make sure it's seated correctly. Now you will need to bleed the clutch line. Pull the pedal up off of the floor. The best way to do this is with the pressure bleeder, with the slave cylinder removed and dangling next to the transmission. Pump the bleeder up to between 5 and 7 psi and check for leaks at both ends of the new line. Then place your catch bottle with the drain hose pointing up from the bleeder valve. Crack the bleed valve open and watch as fluid flows through the drain hose. Once bubbles are no longer visible, close the bleeder and reinstall the slave cylinder into the transmission. Grab the slave rod through the boot and direct it into the clutch fork. It's very important to get it into the correct spot in the clutch fork, otherwise the rod will fall into the bell housing, requiring removal of the transmission to retrieve it. Reinstall the mounting bolt. If you choose to keep your slave cylinder installed during the bleeding process, raise the rear of the car to be higher than the front before starting the procedure so air bubbles don't get trapped at the front of the slave cylinder. Then reinstall all of the components at the top of the car. Reconnect the battery. Test out the clutch pedal. If it feels spongy or gets stuck on the floor, try bleeding it another time. If all feels right, attempt to start the car. If the car does not start, double check that the start sensor has not been moved. If it does start and the clutch pedal feels normal, your installation is complete.